What's up, y'all? It's Connor Bourne, aka Cowboy Killer. Today I'm going to show you how I wrote and produced Ecstasy. So, it's just going to be a little in-depth tour of how the creative process goes and basically how it goes out from there. So let's just rock and roll. So the first thing that I did when I was writing Ecstasy was, the first thing that I do with most of my songs is I'll lay down a drum beat and then from there kind of just work my way up. So the plugin that I actually use in Logic Pro X is called 4 on the Floor, and this is the drum beat that I normally started off with. So then after I added the drums, I tried to add in a little bit more percussion here and there, kind of just to add some flavor, a little bit of sauce to the song. So after that is where I added in the claps, and it sounded like this. After I added in a little bit of percussion, that's when I added in the bass line, which is in the key of F sharp minor. So this is what it sounded like. So after adding the string bass, what I did was I added a synth bass called Moving Fuzz, and I just repeated the string bass line over it to give it a little bit more of a groove, a little bit more of a chunk. So it sounds like this. This is what it sounded like with everything else. After adding in that layer of synth bass, what I did was I added in a layer of rhythm guitar, and I was kind of going for like a funky strum, and also it's in the key of F sharp minor, so I rocked an F sharp minor past the 12th fret, so it sounded like this. This is what it sounds like with the song. Next thing I added was kind of the secret ingredient to Cowboy Killer, which is the cowbell. Cowbell is a very underrated instrument, so I figured I could let it protrude through and kind of make its way back into like mainstream music. So this is what it sounds like with the cowbell. Next thing I added was another secret ingredient of Cowboy Killer. It is called Massive Saws. It is a synth plugin through Logic Pro X. And basically what I did, it sounds like this. Very recognizable. You can hear it all throughout Midwest Nightmare and any other song that I've written. But what I did to kind of gradually go into the build-up was I had a little kind of descending scale going from octaves. So, I mean, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to some people, but this is what it would sound like with it. Basically, I don't really have to explain the buildup that comes after that. It's just, you got a lot of kicks and snares, alternate crashes that I pan to the left, and a bass line that comes in, the main guitar riff, so it's not that complicated. So my favorite part of the song has to be the chorus, because it's definitely a funky breakdown. It kind of goes back to the 70s vibe of, just the funky bass lines, and, the way that it went down was, I had all the exact same instruments that were going on before. I had a guitar line going on. I had all the drums, claps, cowbells, the double bass line, and I think the bass line is just the best part because it's got this alternating bounce that just goes back and forth. It's kind of like a call and response. It sounds like this. And then with the guitar on top of it, it just adds a crazy amount of funk. So this is what it sounds like with the guitar on top. Here's all of it. Woo! Here's a full visual of what the screen looks like, and this is rocking with the chorus. So the awesome thing about producing music on a computer is that you can just copy and paste. So what I did was I just copied the first verse that I already wrote and then the chorus I already wrote, and then I just copy and pasted it, and it gave me a second verse and a second chorus. So then after that, I went into the breakdown with the solo on the synth. What I did was I used a soft saw lead, which sounds like this. Let me solo it out real quick so you can hear what the solo sounds like by itself. So it's like this. What I did was I had all the instruments going. There was no vocals, obviously, because it was a solo. And when it got to the fast part of the synth solo, I cut out the guitar so it could stand out more. This part right here. And with all of it together, you can notice that it just kind of pushes through everything else like this. Just like this. After the entire song was written, what I did was, well, all the music was written. What I did was I sat down, and I'm kind of working on this conceptual album right now called Room 1107, which is based off of a weekend that I stayed at during my fraternity formal. And we stayed in that room, and there was just so many different emotions, so many different memories that went down, that a lot of the songs are based off of how I felt that weekend. And, you know, just being with, you know, the woman I love. But, you know, it just gives me this great feeling of ecstasy, you know, so that's where the song came from. You know, we obviously, you know, had a good time, but on top of it, like, just my feelings just completely expanded for her. And so I wrote the lyrics, you know, I recorded them. Here's another secret: I use auto-tune because I suck at singing. So, yeah, and there you go. That's the entire song, and just rocking and rolling and whatnot, you know, just a little bit of jamming, just a little bit of doing the thing.